Imagine a silent, creeping thief that doesn't steal your possessions, but something far more precious, your freedom of movement. It works slowly over years, settling into your knees, your hips, your hands, until one day, the simple act of rising from a chair or climbing a flight of stairs becomes a calculated maneuver filled with stiffness and pain. We often blame this on age alone, accepting it as an inevitable part of getting older. But what if I told you that a significant portion of this joint pain isn't just about the years passing by, but about what you're putting on your fork every single day? What if the very foods you consider comforting or convenient are, in fact, accelerating the wear and tear on your cartilage, fanning the flames of inflammation and robbing you of your mobility? The truth is, while genetics and injury play their part, dietary choices are the single most influential factor under our control when it comes to managing joint health in our senior years. And shockingly, some of the most common items in our pantries and refrigerators are the worst offenders. This isn't about scare tactics, this is about empowerment through information. For decades, the narrative around arthritis and joint pain has been passive: take a pill, get a replacement, learn to live with it. But groundbreaking nutritional science is flipping that script. We now understand with crystal clarity that chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation is the engine that drives the destruction of joint tissues. This inflammation is like a constant, slow-burning fire inside your body, and certain foods act as gasoline, pouring fuel on those flames, while others act as water, helping to douse them. Today, we are going to identify the gasoline. We are going to dive deep into the worst foods for seniors' joint health, not based on fads or opinions, but on solid clinical research that shows how these foods directly impact inflammatory pathways, gut health, and the very structure of your joints. This knowledge is your first and most powerful line of defense. By the end of this discussion, you will see your plate not just as a source of sustenance, but as a daily opportunity to either soothe or aggravate your joints. This is crucial because managing joint health isn't just about reducing pain. It's about preserving your independence, your ability to garden, to play with your grandchildren, to travel, to live life on your terms. So if you or someone you love is tired of the ache and the limitation and is ready to explore the profound connection between what you eat and how you move, you are in the right place. Let's begin this journey by uncovering the first category of destructive foods, a group so pervasive in the modern diet that avoiding it requires conscious effort. But the rewards for your joints are absolutely monumental. The first and perhaps most sinister group of foods sabotaging your joints are those containing added sugars and refined carbohydrates. This goes far beyond just a spoonful of sugar in your tea. We are talking about the hidden sugars lurking in sauces, dressings, bread, cereals, and so-called healthy snacks. When you consume refined sugar, particularly in forms like high fructose corn syrup, which is ubiquitous in sodas, sweetened juices, and processed foods, it triggers a cascade of events in your body. Firstly, it causes a rapid spike in your blood sugar levels. Your pancreas responds by releasing a flood of insulin to manage this surge. Over time, with repeated sugar assaults, your cells can become resistant to insulin. The effects leading to higher baseline levels of both blood sugar and insulin. This metabolic chaos is profoundly inflammatory. Studies have shown that sugar consumption increases the production of inflammatory messengers in the body called cytokines. Furthermore, sugar molecules can engage in a process called glycation, where they bind to proteins and fats, forming harmful new molecules called advanced glycation end products, aptly abbreviated as AGEs. The name says it all. AGEs accumulate in tissues, including joint cartilage and collagen, making them stiffer, more brittle, and prone to damage. They also activate the body's inflammatory response, creating a vicious cycle of damage and inflammation, specifically in the joints. But the impact of refined carbs, like white bread, pastries, and white rice, is equally detrimental. These foods are stripped of their fiber and nutrients, meaning they break down in sugar almost instantly in your bloodstream, causing the same inflammatory spikes. They also feed the wrong kind of bacteria in your gut. Your gut microbiome is the central commander of your immune system. An overgrowth of harmful bacteria fueled by sugar and refined carbs can lead to a condition often called leaky gut, where the intestinal barrier becomes permeable. This allows bacterial toxins and food particles to enter the bloodstream, which your immune system recognizes as foreign invaders, launching a systemic inflammatory attack that often settles in the joints, which are particularly vulnerable tissues. Therefore, that morning pastry, that afternoon soda, or that sugary dessert at night isn't just empty calories, it's actively directing your body's defenses to attack your own joints, stiffening the very scaffolding that allows you to move freely. The ache you feel after a day of indulging in processed snacks isn't a coincidence. It's a direct biochemical reaction. Cutting back on these sugars is not about deprivation, it's about choosing a different kind of sweetness, the sweetness of pain-free movement and flexibility. It's one of the most powerful dietary shifts you can make for your joint health. And it starts by becoming a vigilant label reader and choosing whole, unprocessed foods that don't come with an inflammatory price tag. Now, as we move forward, remember this connection. Sugar equals inflammation, and inflammation equals joint pain. With that in mind, let's turn our attention to another category of food that often works hand in hand with sugar to create a perfect storm for joint deterioration. Building directly on the sugar dilemma, we encounter its frequent accomplice in the modern diet, processed and fried foods. This category represents a double and sometimes triple whammy for your joints. Think of frozen meals, fast food burgers, chips, crackers, microwave dinners, and anything that comes in a crinkly packet with a long list of unpronounceable ingredients. These foods are engineered for shelf life, convenience, and addictive taste, not for supporting the human body's intricate systems. The first major issue is the type of fats they contain. Most processed foods are loaded with refined vegetable oils high in omega-6 fatty acids such as soybean, corn, and sunflower oil. Now, omega-6 fats are not inherently evil. They are essential in moderation. However, the modern Western diet has created a drastic imbalance with a ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fats as high as 21, whereas a healthy balance is closer to 4:1 or even 2:1. This extreme skew is catastrophic for inflammation. Omega-6 fatty acids are precursors to pro-inflammatory compounds in the body. When they dominate, they push your entire physiological state toward chronic inflammation. In contrast, omega-3 fats found in fatty fish, flax seeds, and walnuts are precursors to anti-inflammatory compounds. By gorging on processed foods, you are overwhelmingly choosing the pro-inflammatory path. The second strike against these foods is the presence of trans fats or partially hydrogenated oils. While many countries have banned artificial trans fats, they can still appear in some products. And even the process of deep frying at high temperatures can create similar damaging compounds. Trans fats are foreign substance to the body. They not only raise bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol, but they also directly induce systemic inflammation, insulin resistance, hitting your joints with the same 1-2 punch as sugar. The third strike is the combination of these unhealthy fats with high levels of refined carbohydrates and sodium, creating a trifecta that promotes inflammation, oxidative stress, and fluid retention, which can increase pressure and swelling in the joints. Then we have the act of deep frying itself. When foods are cooked at very high temperatures in unstable oils, they form those same advanced glycation end products, AGEs, we discussed with sugar. A plate of French fries or fried chicken is extraordinarily high in these inflammatory and tissue-damaging compounds. Furthermore, frying can create other toxic byproducts like acrylamide, which further stokes oxidative stress in the body. Oxidative stress is essentially an imbalance between harmful free radicals and protective antioxidants. This oxidative damage is a key player in the breakdown of cartilage in osteoarthritis. So every time you consume fried foods, you are not just eating empty calories, you are ingesting a chemical cocktail that directly attacks the cellular integrity of your joints. The convenience of a drive-through meal comes at a hidden cost that is paid for in stiffness and pain hours or days later. It's also important to understand that these processed and fried foods are typically devoid of the very nutrients that your joints desperately need to repair themselves. Nutrients like magnesium, vitamin C, vitamin K, and antioxidants. So they cause damage while simultaneously providing none of the tools for repair. Your body is left trying to put out an inflammatory fire with no resources. The shift away from this category is about returning to cooking with whole ingredients. Instead of a frozen fried chicken patty, consider baking a piece of chicken seasoned with herbs and olive oil. Instead of potato chips, try sliced vegetables with a homemade dip. It requires a bit more planning, but the payoff in reduced joint pain, increased energy is immediate and profound. Your joints are not designed to process industrial food products. They are designed to be nourished by real food from the earth. By eliminating these processed and fried items, you remove a massive source of constant inflammatory agitation, allowing your body's natural healing processes to begin. Now, let's talk about a beverage that often accompanies these fried meals, one that masquerades as harmless or even healthy, but is a stealthy saboteur of joint health, sugar-sweetened drinks, and their deceptive counterparts. This brings us squarely to the topic of beverages, which can be a major and often overlooked source of joint-damaging compounds. The most obvious offender is sugar-sweetened beverages, sodas, sweetened teas, energy drinks, and even fruit juices that boast 100% natural but are essentially concentrated sugar water without the beneficial fiber of whole fruit. A single can of soda can contain nearly 40 grams of sugar, which, as we've established, is a direct ticket to increased inflammation and age formation. Drinking your sugar is particularly harmful because it enters your bloodstream so rapidly, causing those violent spikes in blood glucose and insulin But the problem goes beyond just the sugar. Many dark-colored sodas contain phosphoric acid. Your body strives to maintain a delicate balance between phosphorus and calcium. Excessive phosphorus from sources like sodas can leach calcium from your bones, potentially weakening them and affecting the bone structure that supports and stabilizes your joints. Osteoporosis and osteoarthritis often go hand in hand, and a diet high in phosphoric acid can contribute to both. Then there's the issue of artificial sweeteners in diet drinks. While marketed as a healthy alternative, emerging research suggests they may not be the saviors we once thought. Some studies indicate that artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose can disrupt the gut microbiome, reduce beneficial bacteria, and promoting glucose intolerance, which again circles back to inflammation. For some individuals, these sweeteners can also trigger migraine-like headache and body aches, which can be mistaken for or exacerbate joint pain. The simple, most powerful switch you can make is to water. Herbal teas like ginger or turmeric tea can be fantastic anti-inflammatory choices. If you crave carbonation, opt for plain sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon or lime. The goal is to hydrate your joints. The cartilage in your joints is about 80% water and relies on proper hydration for shock absorption and lubrication without simultaneously poisoning them with sugar, acid, or chemicals. Proper hydration thins the synovial fluid that cushions your joints, allowing for smoother movement. Dehydration, often exacerbated by drinking the wrong fluids, concentrates the fluid, making it less effective and leading to increased friction and pain. So the next time you feel thirsty, see it as an opportunity to nourish your joints. Reach for the clean, simple water that your body truly craves to keep its moving parts gliding smoothly. This conscious choice alone can make a noticeable difference in how your joints feel on a daily basis. Moving from what we drink to a specific category of what we eat, we must address a group of foods that are central to many diets but are increasingly shown to be problematic for a significant number of people with joint issues. Food high in gluten and certain grains, particularly for those with a sensitivity. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and triticale. For individuals with celiac disease and autoimmune disorder, consuming gluten triggers an immune attack that damages the small intestine. But there's a larger group of people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity, NCGS. For them, gluten doesn't cause intestinal damage detectable by standard celiac tests, but it can trigger a wide array of symptoms, including significant joint and muscle pain, fatigue, and brain fog. The mechanism here is again tied to inflammation and immune response. Gluten can, in sensitive individuals, increase intestinal permeability, leaky gut, allowing gluten particles and other toxins to enter the bloodstream. The body then produces antibodies to attack these particles. The problem is that these antibodies can sometimes mistakenly attack the body's own tissues due to a phenomenon called molecular mimicry, where the structure of a foreign particle resembles the structure of your own tissue. This can lead to autoimmune-like inflammation in the joints, even for those without a diagnosed sensitivity. Modern wheat has been hybridized to contain much higher levels of gluten than ancient varieties, which can be harder to digest and more inflammatory. Furthermore, grains, especially refined ones, are high in lectins and phytates. Lectins are plant defense chemicals that can bind to the intestinal lining in some people, promoting inflammation and leaky gut. Phytates can bind to minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc, preventing their absorption, minerals that are crucial for bone density and joint function. This doesn't mean everyone must go gluten-free, but if you have unexplained persistent joint pain, it is a very significant experiment to try. Eliminate gluten-containing foods, bread, pasta, cereals, baked goods, and many processed foods that use it as a thickener for a period of 3 to 4 weeks. Then reintroduce it and carefully monitor your joint pain, stiffness, and overall energy levels. For many, the results are startling. The chronic background ache they had accepted as normal simply disappears, only to return sharply when gluten is reintroduced. This is powerful, personalized data. It tells you that for your unique body, this particular food is a source of inflammation. Replacing gluten-heavy foods with alternatives like quinoa, sweet potatoes, rice, oats, certified gluten-free if sensitive, and a focus on vegetables and proteins can dramatically reduce the inflammatory load on your system. Your joints are the beneficiaries of this calmer immune state. It's about listening to what your body is telling you. If your knees throb every time you eat a sandwich or a bowl of pasta, that's not a coincidence, it's valuable feedback. Honoring that feedback by removing the irritant is one of the most direct acts of self-care you can perform for your musculoskeletal health. Now let's discuss a category that might surprise you. Certain vegetables from the nightshade family. This includes tomatoes, potatoes, not sweet potatoes, eggplants, bell peppers, and chilies. These nutritious vegetables contain compounds called alkaloids, the most well-known being solanine. For the vast majority of people, nightshades are incredibly healthy, packed with vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber. However, for a subset of individuals with arthritis or inflammatory conditions, these alkaloids can interfere with enzymes in the muscles and nerves and may contribute to inflammation and pain in sensitive people. The theory is that in some bodies, these alkaloids can promote calcium leakage from cells and deposit it in soft tissues, potentially contributing to joint pain and stiffness. This is not a universal truth, and most people tolerate nightshades perfectly well. But similar to gluten, if you have tried eliminating the obvious culprits like sugar and processed foods and still experience pain, nightshades are worth investigating through an elimination diet. Remove all nightshade vegetables for at least 3 weeks. If your pain diminishes or vanishes, you may have found a personal trigger. Then, you can carefully reintroduce them one by one to identify the specific offender. It might be tomatoes for one person and potatoes for another. The key takeaway is bio-individuality. There is no one-size-fits-all worst foods list. Your joint pain is a unique signal from your unique body. Process of identifying your personal triggers, be it gluten, nightshades, or something else, is a journey of detective work that empowers you to create a diet that specifically supports your joints. This leads us to another critical point, the role of factory farmed meats and dairy, which can be inflammatory due to their fat profile and the compounds they contain, setting the stage for our next major category of joint damaging foods. The conventional meat and dairy that fill most supermarket shelves come with a hidden inflammatory burden, primarily due to the animal's diet and living conditions. Cows raised on industrial farms are typically fed grains like corn and soy, not their natural diet of grass. This changes the fatty acid profile of their meat and milk. Grain-fed beef and dairy have a much higher ratio of inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids to anti-inflammatory omega-3s compared to their grass-fed counterparts. When you consume this meat and dairy, you are, once again, tipping your body's internal scales toward a pro-inflammatory state. Furthermore, to promote rapid growth and prevent disease in crowded conditions. Conventional livestock are often given antibiotics and growth hormones. Residues of these compounds can make their way into the food supply. While the direct link to joint pain is complex, the antibiotic use contributes to the global problem of antibiotic resistance and can disrupt the human gut microbiome when consumed via animal products. As we've learned, a disrupted gut is a major source of systemic inflammation. The hormones used can also potentially interfere with our own hormonal balance, which plays a role in inflammation and tissue repair. Additionally, the animal's stressed state leads to higher levels of inflammatory markers in their tissues. For dairy specifically, some people have an intolerance to the protein casein or an inability to digest the sugar lactose. This intolerance can manifest as digestive distress, but also as systemic inflammation, including joint pain and swelling. The pasteurization and homogenization processes, while making milk safe from pathogens, can also alter the proteins in ways that make them more allergenic or inflammatory for some individuals. This doesn't mean you must become a vegetarian. The solution lies in making smarter choices. Opt for grass-fed, pasture-raised meats and dairy whenever possible. They have a better fat profile and are less likely to contain antibiotics and hormones. For dairy, consider trying fermented options like yogurt and kefir, where the lactose has been broken down, or explore goat or sheep milk products, which some find easier to digest. Reducing overall consumption of red and processed meats like sausages and bacon, which are also high in inflammatory nitrates and ages, and focusing on high quality lean protein like pasture-raised poultry, wild-caught fish, eggs, and plant-based proteins like lentils and beans can significantly lower the inflammatory burden from your protein sources. Your joints need high-quality protein for repair and maintenance, but the source matters immensely. Choosing cleaner, more ethically raised animal products is an investment not just in the environment and animal welfare, but directly in the smooth, pain-free functioning of your own body. Having dissected the problems with conventional meats, we must now confront one of the most potent dietary triggers for inflammation and joint pain: industrial seed oils and the imbalance of fats they create. As mentioned earlier, oils like soybean, corn, canola, sunflower, and safflower oil are extraordinarily high in omega-6 linoleic acid. These oils are cheap, stable for frying, and have a neutral flavor, making them the darlings of the food manufacturing industry. They are in almost every processed food, restaurant fryer, and bottled dressing. The sheer volume at which we consume them is the core of the problem. When omega-6 fats are consumed in such excess, dominate the enzymes that convert dietary fats into signaling molecules in your body. These molecules, called eicosanoids, derived from omega-6s, are predominantly pro-inflammatory. They promote blood clotting, constrict blood vessels, and increase pain sensitivity. In the joints, this means increased swelling, stiffness, and pain perception. In contrast, eicosanoids derived from omega-3 fats are largely anti-inflammatory. They reduce swelling, decrease pain, and improve blood flow. By flooding your system with omega-6s, you are essentially giving your body no choice but to operate in a state of high inflammation. It's like trying to put out a fire while someone else is constantly pouring gasoline on it. The shift here is not to eliminate fats. Your joints need healthy fats for lubrication and cell membrane integrity, but to drastically change the types of fats you consume. The first step is to stop cooking with these industrial seed oils. Replace them with fats that are stable at medium heats, like avocado oil, coconut oil, or even butter or ghee from grass-fed animals. For cold uses like dressings, extra virgin olive oil, flaxseed oil, and avocado oil are excellent anti-inflammatory choices. Reading labels is non-negotiable. If a packaged food contains soybean oil or its cousins near the top of the ingredient list, put it back on the shelf. This single change, ditching industrial seed oils, can reduce a massive, constant source of inflammatory fuel in your diet. It allows the anti-inflammatory foods you do eat to actually do their job. Think of it as turning off the noise so you can hear the music. By quieting the loud, persistent inflammation from bad fats, you give your joints a chance to calm down and begin the healing process. This focus on fats seamlessly connects to our next critical topic, the devastating impact of excessive alcohol consumption on joint health, a factor often overlooked in discussions of arthritis and pain. Alcohol is a social lubricant, a relaxant, and for many, a cherished part of life's rituals. However, when it comes to joint health, it is a significant antagonist. Alcohol's negative effects are multi-pronged. First, it is a toxin that your liver must prioritize metabolizing. This process generates free radicals, increasing oxidative stress throughout the body, including in the joints, where it accelerates cartilage breakdown. Second, alcohol consumption, especially in excess, directly promotes systemic inflammation. It can increase levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, a key marker of inflammation in the blood. Third, and crucially, alcohol disrupts the gut microbiome. It can damage the intestinal lining, promoting leaky gut and alter the balance of gut bacteria, killing off beneficial strains and allowing harmful ones to proliferate. As we've established, gut health is inextricably linked to joint health through the gut-joint axis. A leaky, inflamed gut leads to a leaky, inflamed joint. Fourth, alcohol can interfere with the absorption of vital nutrients essential for joint integrity, such as vitamin D, calcium, and magnesium. It also acts as a diuretic, dehydrating the body. Dehydrated joints are painful joints, as the synovial fluid thickens and cartilage loses its plump, shock-absorbing quality. For individuals with gout, a painful form of inflammatory arthritis, alcohol is a notorious trigger. It increases uric acid production and impairs its excretion, leading to the formation of sharp crystals in the joints, often starting in the big toe. But even for osteoarthritis, the toll is real. Furthermore, alcohol can disrupt sleep patterns. While it might induce sleep initially, it fragments the later restorative stages of sleep. Poor sleep lowers pain tolerance and increases inflammation, creating a vicious cycle where pain prevents good sleep and poor sleep worsens pain. This doesn't necessarily mean complete teetotalism is required for everyone, but mindful moderation is key. If you are experiencing significant joint pain, consider eliminating alcohol for a month as an experiment. Observe any changes in your morning stiffness, pain levels, and overall energy. For many, the reduction in inflammation is noticeable. If you choose to drink, opt for red wine in moderation, as it contains resveratrol, an anti-inflammatory compound, and avoid sugar-laden cocktails and beers high in purines, which break down into uric acid. Hydrating thoroughly alongside any alcoholic drink is also critical. The ultimate goal is to see alcohol for what it is in the context of joint health, an inflammatory substance that your body must manage. Reducing or eliminating it removes a substantial burden, allowing your body's resources to be directed toward repair and maintenance, not detoxification and damage control. Beyond specific food categories, there is an overarching dietary pattern that encapsulates all these dangers. The standard American diet, or SAD, an ironically apt acronym. This pattern is characterized by high consumption of processed foods, refined sugars, unhealthy fat, and red meats, coupled with low intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein. It is the perfect recipe for chronic systemic inflammation, insulin resistance, obesity, and ultimately accelerated joint degeneration. Obesity itself is one of the strongest modifiable risk factors for osteoarthritis, particularly in weight-bearing joints like the knees and hips. But it's not just the mechanical stress of extra weight. Fat tissue, especially visceral fat around the abdomen, is not inert. It is metabolically active function, almost like an endocrine organ that pumps out pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and IL-6. So carrying excess weight means you are carrying around a factory that produces inflammation 24/7, bathing your joints in a corrosive broth. The SAD diet directly leads to this state. It creates insulin resistance, which promotes fat storage, particularly dangerous visceral fat, and the high glycemic load keeps inflammatory pathways activated. Breaking free from this pattern is the single most comprehensive thing you can do. It means shifting from a diet of packaged foods to one centered on whole, nutrient-dense foods. It means cooking at home more often, where you control the ingredients. It means viewing food as information instructions you send to your genes and your immune system every time you eat. An anti-inflammatory diet isn't a temporary fix. It's a lifelong eating style that prioritizes foods that calm inflammation, colorful fruits, vegetables rich in antioxidants, fatty fish rich in omega-3s nuts, and seeds, healthy fats like olive oil and avocado, and lean protein. It minimizes or eliminates the inflammatory drivers we've detailed. This shift addresses the root cause of dietary joint pain rather than just masking the symptoms. It's a proactive, empowering approach that puts you in the driver's seat of your health. The evidence is overwhelming. Populations that eat traditional whole food diets have drastically lower rates of inflammatory diseases like arthritis. By moving away from the SAD model and towards a more ancestral Mediterranean or whole food-based pattern, you are giving your joints the environment they need to not just survive, but thrive well into your later years. This holistic view prepares us for the final integrative piece of the puzzle, the importance of synergy between diet and other lifestyle factors, and how to practically implement these changes without feeling overwhelmed. Knowledge is only power when it is applied. Understanding the worst foods for your joints is the critical first step, but the transformative magic happens in the kitchen and at the grocery store. The idea of overhauling your diet can feel daunting, especially if you eat in a certain way for decades. The key is to avoid an all or nothing mindset. You don't need to purge your pantry perfectly overnight. Sudden, restrictive changes are rarely sustainable. Instead, think in terms of addition, substitution, and gradual progression. Start with the low-hanging fruit, the single biggest source of inflammation in your current diet. For many, that is sugar-sweetened beverages. Commit to replacing soda and sweet tea with water or herbal tea for 1 week. Feel the difference. Once that feels normal, tackle the next item. Maybe it's swapping out industrial seed oils for olive or avocado oil in your cooking. Then commit to adding 1 extra serving of vegetables to your lunch and dinner. Crowd out the bad by adding more of the good. This incremental approach allows your palate to adjust, your gut microbiome to transition, and your joints to feel the benefits at each step, which becomes its own motivation. Meal planning and preparation are your greatest allies. When you have a fridge stocked with pre-chopped vegetables, cooked quinoa, and grilled chicken, you are far less likely to reach for a processed, frozen dinner on a busy night. Batch cooking soups, stews, and roasted vegetables can ensure you have healthy, anti-inflammatory options ready all week. Remember, you are not just avoiding pain, you are actively building health. Every colorful vegetable provides antioxidants that combat oxidative stress in your joints. Every serving of fatty fish like salmon provides omega-3 seconds that directly quell inflammation. Every handful of berries delivers polyphenols that protect your cartilage. This is a positive, nourishing journey. However, diet does not exist in a vacuum. For optimal joint health, it must be synergistically combined with other lifestyle pillars. The first is hydration. As mentioned, your joints are predominantly water. Chronic low-level dehydration is a common but overlooked contributor to stiffness. Aim to drink enough water so that your urine is light yellow. Herbal teas and water-rich foods like cucumbers and melons count. The second pillar is movement. It seems counterintuitive when you're in pain, but regular, gentle movement is essential for joint health. It pumps synovial fluid into the joint space, nourishing the cartilage, strengthens the muscles that support and stabilize the joints, and helps maintain range of motion. Focus on low-impact activities like walking, swimming, cycling, tai chi, or yoga. Listen to your body move to the point of stiffness, not sharp pain. The third pillar is sleep. This is when your body performs the majority of its repair work. Poor sleep quality elevates inflammatory markers and lowers pain threshold. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is non-negotiable for managing inflammation. The fourth pillar is stress management. Chronic psychological stress leads to the release of cortisol, a hormone that, when constantly elevated, becomes inflammatory and can break down tissues. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, spending time in nature, or engaging in hobbies are not luxuries. They are essential anti-inflammatory therapies for your mind and body. When you combine an anti-inflammatory diet with proper hydration, gentle movement, restorative sleep, and stress management, you create a powerful, multifaceted defense against joint degeneration. Each pillar supports the others, creating a positive feedback loop of health. It is also vital to work with healthcare professionals before making drastic dietary changes, especially if you have underlying conditions. Consult with your doctor or a registered dietitian. They can help you tailor a plan that is safe and effective for you. Ensure you are not missing key nutrients and monitor your progress. They can also help rule out other medical causes for your joint pain. This information is meant to empower you to have informed conversations with your healthcare team, not to replace their expertise. Diagnostic tools like food sensitivity tests under professional guidance can also provide clues if you suspect specific triggers like gluten or dairy. Remember, you are the expert on your own body. You are the one who feels the pain or the relief. By becoming a mindful observer, keeping a simple food and symptom journal, you can become your own best health detective, identifying the unique patterns that connect what you eat to how you feel. In conclusion, the journey to preserving and restoring your joint health is profoundly influenced by the choices you make at every meal. The worst foods for seniors' joints: added sugars and refined carbs, processed and fried foods, sugar, sweetened and diet beverages, gluten, and certain grains for the sensitive, industrial seed. Oils, excessive alcohol, and the overall standard American diet pattern all share a common thread. They promote systemic inflammation, oxidative stress, gut dysfunction, and metabolic chaos. They are the gasoline on the fire of joint pain, but you hold the water. By consciously shifting away from these inflammatory agents and toward a whole food, nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory way of eating, you are not just avoiding harm, you are actively providing your body with the building blocks for repair and resilience. You are reducing the load on your immune system, calming the internal fires, and creating an internal environment where your joints can lubricate, cushion, and move as they were designed. This is not a quick fix, but a sustainable path to a more vibrant, mobile, and independent life. The power to significantly alter your experience of aging and joint health is, to a remarkable degree, on the end of your fork. It's a power that is accessible to everyone, starting with your very next meal. Now, I want to hear from you. This is where our community becomes powerful. In the comments below, tell me one food from today's discussion that you are committed to reducing or eliminating this week. What's your first step? Your commitment not only holds you accountable, but inspires others on the same journey. If you found this deep dive valuable, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this vital information with more seniors who need to hear it. And most importantly, if you are ready to take control of your joint health, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Because next, we are going to flip the script entirely. In our following video, we will build the ultimate best foods for seniors joint health guide, a comprehensive, practical plan detailing exactly what to eat, with simple recipes and meal ideas to make your kitchen your pharmacy for pain-free movement. You won't want to miss it. Share this video with a friend or family member who is struggling with joint pain. They will thank you for the insight. Thank you for watching, for caring for your health, and for being part of this community. Remember, every positive choice you make is a step toward greater freedom and less pain. I'll see you in the next video.